We all have a story to tell. Some are just beginning, others have been unfolding for years. Welcome to the Shaman Stories Podcast. Each week, I sit down with guests to explore their journeys into spirit, the challenges, awakenings, and the moments that shaped who they are today. So take a breath, settle in, and join me as we uncover the stories that lead us back to our true selves. All right, welcome everyone. Today with me, I have Dr. Stephan Neff. He's a retired anesthetist-turned-functional medicine doctor. Welcome, Stephan. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you very much, Jeremy, for having me as a guest on your show. Thank you for putting such a beautiful platform out there for people to explore their spirituality, but also tie it in with our physical bodies and us trying to become the best versions of ourselves.
Yes, thank you. So, I like to start first where somebody's at, what they do. What exactly is a functional medical doctor?
Well, simply spoken, I help people live younger for longer. I am a registered doctor here in New Zealand. I am coming staunchly from the allopathic medicine world, means basically the real doctors who believe in evidence-based medicine, give me this data, give me the studies. And we've got, this allopathic medicine is beautiful. If you have got a broken bone, you want to have a good doctor. If you are sick like a dog and you come to intensive care, then someone like me in the past would have said, hello, I'm your anesthetist. Let's actually rescue your life, shall we? So the Western medicine is amazing in what it can achieve. The problem is that we are not good in protecting bodies. We're not good at healing bodies, preventing disease. We are very good in managing chronic problems. And I think that always sat a bit wrong with me. I was always a very curious man. And as an anesthetist, when patients came to me for their total hip joint replacement or, let's say, a shoulder operation or something like that, I would run far more lab tests than any of my colleagues, to a degree that people said, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, when I saw this lady, she barn door, she was depressed. So I ran a depression panel and checked for the vitamins, checked for those kind of things that are very clearly there holding her back in her emotions, but also potentially cause maybe delayed wound healing or surgical problems down the line. But that link was not well recognized in allopathic medicine, in Western medicine. So about 5 years ago or so, I thought, I'd do a bit more education. And the Institute for Functional Medicine had a weekend course on cardiovascular, basically heart and the blood vessels, the health of that. And I thought, come on, as an anesthetist, I will probably not learn much, but maybe I get some CPD points. Oh my God, that was an eye-opener when I suddenly saw a very different way how to look at cardiovascular health rather than cardiovascular disease. I was very good with the disease. I was not so good with the health. I paid lip service to that. And that started a amazing journey where I learned more and more about the medical side of things, how we can look differently. And it came ultimately, it is now become not just my passion, but my profession, in which I basically work rather as the fence on the top of the cliff, rather than the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. And I think that is an amazing thing. And it's so important because if you see what is happening around the world, madness. Now, you guys are the front runners in all the bad things. So United States is amazing. I mean, what are your autism statistics? Yeah. It has increased 100,000-fold, 100 or 1,000-fold. In the past, when I started studying medicine, I mean, it was something like autism, quite rare. Nowadays, it's crazy numbers.
1 in 5 boys at this point.
Correct.
1 in 7 girls.
This is madness.
Yeah.
Now, this madness is not that someone is now paying more attention, it's overdiagnosed. Maybe there's a tiny amount of that. But the reality is we are living in such a toxic world, literally toxic soup that we're breathing in, that we're putting into our mouth in the form of ultra-processed foods, that we are drinking in the form of microplastics, that we are ingesting into our mind as the doom scrolling,
Hmm.
as the divided states of America kind of mass media. My goodness, my goodness, we are absolutely uh, ripping apart the fabric of being a human from all angles. And then we somehow want to seek spirituality. We somehow want to have that peace. We somehow want to have the guidance by spiritual forces out there. And in reality, your body is screaming, just put me down. If I was a horse, he would have shot me already. Yet you're treating me like shit and you're expecting me to come up with some wonderful meaning of life stuff. And I think that's the crazy thing. So many people yearn for enlightenment, for spirituality, for a positive spirituality. There's a lot of toxic spirituality out there as well. But we are not laying the foundation. We are not looking after our gut. We are not looking after our sleep, our lifestyle. Oh, my goodness. I mean, sedentary lifestyle is the norm in the United States. What are you? On average, 3,000, 4,000 steps a day? My
Yeah.
goodness. In the past, this would have been so much more. If we look at our gut, our nutrition, your average fiber intake is about 13, 14 gram. You need at least 30. And if you go back 100 years, our ancestors, they would have had 100, 120 gram of fiber in our food. Now, that's important because this fiber is soaking up toxins, is soaking up all kind of rubbish, and is then pooing it out. If you don't have fiber in your food, those toxins come into the gut and say, well, no one here to take me on. I better get back into the system. And you're basically getting sicker and sicker. And that's the reason that we see a rise in colon cancer and in many other cancers around the world. So life has become incredibly toxic. And you trying to meditate with blood sugar irregularities, your blood sugar going up and down like a yo-yo, well, good luck on that. Because you're going to be one moment deeply depressed, the next moment you're high like a kite. And this is such a reality. So if you see people going into a yoga class and then afterwards having a burger, or even better, having a burger before they go in a yoga class, yeah, good on you. That's all I can say.
Or the fruit smoothie that's got tons of sugar, and or
Oh, that's
the
right.
drink from
And it's
Starbucks with it's like 2,000
absolutely.
calories just with the syrups that they use. It
Oh,
boggles my
absolutely.
mind.
And what is it in basically, it's not plastic, it's a cardboard kind of cup. But the cup is lined with a
It's like
lining that
wax.
prevents
It's like a
it.
weird
That's
wax thing. Yeah.
that's right. Now that weird wax has got some beautiful, beautiful microplastics in there, and BPA basically, and we have got or other components that are basically toxins in their own right. So here we are. Every single time you go to the wherever you buy your coffee, for crying out loud, you're filling yourself up not just with caffeine but also with microplastics and components that are not good for you. So, but this has become our lifestyle. We've been socially engineered to fall apart, and this is just brutal. Started in the 60s, 70s, and we are now at the pinnacle of self-destruction as a human species. And we are going faster and faster down that slope into the abyss. I
Yeah.
think that's so important that we point that out. But
No,
luckily, there's, we are learning, and just the two of us having this discussion hopefully will raise some awareness out there.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, there is a place for Western medicine. It does need to be there. There's an old proverb where a shaman's with a friend of his who's like a scientist just visiting, and the scientist gets bit by a snake. So the shaman takes him to a doctor to get the antivenom put into him. And the scientist is basically like, well, why didn't you do anything? He's like, well, no, you got bit by the snake. The doctor has the medicine. Now, if you want to know why you got bit by the snake, you can come talk to me later because there's like another part there. And so there's a place for it. But yeah, I truly believe healing, you have to hit the mind, the body, and the spirit. Like you have to hit all three. And it's if we only focus on the mind or only focus on the body or only focus on the spirit, we're not getting the true package that we need. And the food, drink, water, it's all bad if we don't look at it appropriately and realize, okay, what can we do? And I guess that's my question is
Mm,
what's the first step somebody could do to try to be better with their food or their health? Like, what's a good starting point?
mm. The cool thing is we can do so much. You could look at it negatively and say, "Oh my God, there is so much out there that is hammering me." From, as I said, the quality of the air that we are breathing, the quality of the water that we are drinking, the food is lousy. Okay, that's cool. You could look at it negatively, or you could say, "Wow, actually, here are three things already, three large groups of things that we can actually influence and that we can do something about." So it also gives us opportunity to take action. Now, action is all about choices. Now, if you just look at food, the average American makes about 200 food choices every day. Do I want to have a coffee, large, small? Do I want to have that and that sugar syrup in there? And it just goes on, 200 choices. Now, we don't expect you to get it all right, but if you begin to be more curious and begin to start really looking after yourself, I don't want you to go all nuts. 1st of January, we change everything. No, I want you to be a one percenter. I want you to do 1% course correction every day. Now, 1% is actually quite doable. If we
Yeah.
were to look at how much is 1% of the waking time, it's about 15 minutes. So could you actually invest 15 minutes of your busy day into yourself? I would say, yeah, that should be quite easily done. But I'm so busy. I'm a single mum. I have got 3 kids. I work 2 jobs, and I haven't slept forever. And now you want me to go to the gym? Yeah, that probably won't work.
Yeah.
But we now know there are beautiful studies out there to show, for example, that if you look at blood sugar control, yes, gym is good, or a workout in the evening is good. But if you break that down into mini exercise snacks, let's say 2 minutes every hour. Now, that's very easily done. If you're working and if you're a secretary, you stand waiting for the photocopier. Who says you can't actually do 2 times 10 bodyweight squats and lean against a wall and do some push ups? Now, that's very easily done. And you've just done a whole body workout for 2 minutes. Now, you can do that very easily. There are studies which are comparing the effectiveness on blood sugar control, and they are equally as effective. Now, that is power. So suddenly that argument of, oh, I don't like the gym, I don't, I have to travel there, I need to get changed, etc. Stuff that. Stuff that. There is that excuse went down the train. You then have to say, well, okay, where do I get my food from? I don't have money to buy healthy food. The reality is, you buying unhealthy food is actually costing you a hell of a lot of money because ultra-processed food is typically crap. I think, the reality when you go into a supermarket, here in New Zealand, the healthy things are on the outside of the supermarket. So if you just stay on the outside in general terms, you will find the vegetables, you will find the meat section, you'll find those kind of things. That's probably the good stuff. If you go through the aisles, 80% of that stuff should not be called food. Food is defined as something that preserves life and makes life better, that creates life. In fact, some of the packaging, the cardboard around some of the things that are in the aisles is probably healthier than what you actually eat. So let's be clear about that. These are all choices that
Yeah.
you can do. Yeah, even living under really harsh circumstances, there are actually good ways forward. For example, if you were to say, well, okay, I don't have many cents to rub together, but neither has my friend or that other friend or that other friend. So you've now got 4 people who could actually say, you know what, instead of buying, I make it up here, some rice for a kilogram in a supermarket, I buy 20 kilogram of rice and we split that up. So now you have actually saved significant amount of money. And if we now say, well, actually, we all have got a little bit of dirt somewhere that we could grow something. So you could say, well, okay, I could actually, this year, I put 2 zucchini plants in there. You put some spinach in there. You're going to put some that in, and we grow in our own backyards. Even if you don't have money, things like that could be very easily done. So with a little bit of preparation, suddenly that money is no longer actually the key thing that holds you back. Meal preps, learn how to cook again.
Mhm.
And it can be an amazing thing for your family to come together again. Because just as ratty and as chaos as you are, your children will probably be the same. Your husband will be the same. You're a unit. So how about spending some quality time together, planning some meals, and then preparing them and be ready for the week? Suddenly you're cutting out all the toxins. Suddenly you're actually learning, you're growing, you're having fun, you're laughing. For anyone who has ever made their own pasta, it's that easy, honestly, and it's good fun, but the flour goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're going to look like a snowman afterwards if you do it with your family. But it's good fun with the kids. So talk about actually doing something great for your body and taking ownership, taking leadership, going out there having fun. Fun is not something that happens to you. Fun is something that's a habit that you create. And how about linking that all together?
Mhm.
So you taking action in this regard makes you a very different person. You're no longer the victim. You're going out there and actually taking ownership and taking leadership. And that's where life starts changing. So these are simple things, and I'm just planting these seeds here. I think I want to tell you all that you are far more powerful than you think you are, and that it is far easier to take the right action, make the right decisions than you think it is. Stop listening so much to influencers and look up functional medicine podcasts and look up functional medicine providers. We try to put a wealth of information out there. A word on diets, because we know that so many of the problems start in our gut.
Mm.
And people want to go on diets and have a quick fix. And now everyone wants to be on Wegovy or Ozempic or whatever, because everyone is so big. So therefore, let's just have a quick fix. Let's have an injection. Yeah, about that. Well, first of all, diets. A diet, by definition, is a short-term intervention that is designed to maybe take out some things that are not good for you. So an elimination diet to see if gluten or dairy is an issue. That makes sense. Keto diet, if you have got a very clear indication, let's say you have got advanced cancer, then keto diets can be absolutely an amazing help to the cancer loves sugar and it hates ketosis. So there are some good indications are there. But in general terms, these diets, they are hard to maintain because often they all have their downsides. So I hate diets. I use them carefully in the right setting, but ultimately a Mediterranean food plan is something very different. So a food plan is something that you can take on for the rest of your life. And if we say that actually our spirituality is all these waves of neurochemicals, the serotonin, the dopamine, those beautiful things that we try to grow within us, to pour out, that gives us this bliss and the happiness and the serenity. Well, 95% of serotonin is made in your gut. 50% of dopamine is made in your gut. So you can meditate until the cows come home. If you have not a protein-rich diet, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, selenium, these are the precursors for serotonin. Well, good luck on creating that. So therefore, you need to know that you need the right ingredients. Then you need the right powerhouses within your gut, the right bacteria. So therefore, we need to look at the health of your gut, the leaky gut, which lets all kind of toxins in from the gut lumen, from the inside of the gut, into the bloodstream, which then poisons your body. Well, that's not great. So we need to heal the leaky gut, and we need to restore the healthy tribes of gut bacteria. Because you've got 100 trillion gut bacteria there. If I look at you, Jeremy, and I see cell by cell, how many cells do actually come from mommy and daddy, and how many cells that are you are not mommy and daddy? The majority are not from mommy and daddy. Okay, you have got so many microbes living in you, and they are there. Without them, you're dead.
Mm.
They have so many roles, yet we treat them like shit. We treat them, we kick them, we pour alcohol over them, we smoke, we do the stress out there. It is, and then we are surprised that we have problems, mental health, emotionally, spiritually. A beautiful study recently looked at a Finnish prison. And in the prison, they said, look, what was to happen if we were actually to feed the inmates healthy food instead of sizzlers and burgers, etc. They did it for 3 weeks. And as an end result, the violent incident rate dropped by 30% by simply changing the food. So what was to happen if we were to do that in our own lives? Do you think you would be more effective in meditation? Do you think you would be more effective in actually seeking the bliss, the serenity, the beautiful states of mind that we're yearning for?
Yeah, I mean, and it makes perfect sense because even doing, like, I've done ayahuasca before, and when you do ayahuasca, you have to go on a dieta of sorts where you have to
Mm,
basically cut out certain types of food, no
mm,
sugar, no caffeine. It's not
mm,
raw vegan, but more vegetarian based. You can have a little
mm,
bit of chicken, you can have some egg,
mm,
maybe some fresh fish all the way up to the time of the ceremony. Each
mm,
area kind of has their own different rules on it, but there's no pork, there's no red meat,
mm,
no dairy, no spicy food, and you're just cleansed before you go in so that
mm,
the
mm,
medicine can work better.
mm.
And
It's
it's
interesting that we call that cleansing, that we
yeah.
call that something that should be, oh, something, wow, we are cleansing now. Bullshit. This should be your daily life. This should be you eating healthy and you actually providing the building blocks for all the things that we need, the building blocks for your gut to heal. Only then can you be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
That is especially true. There's a good reason that people might come to you as a shaman. They are seeking an enlightenment because obviously things are not right in their life. But I think many people settle the horse from the wrong end
Mm.
rather than thinking, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong to the best of my knowledge? By actually just shifting towards a food plan that gives you the building blocks of life, making sure that you hydrate, try to hydrate as good as you can. I'm well aware that with Flint, Michigan, or some of other places in your country, there have been scandals with regards to the quality of the drinking water. Even if you now say, hey, I've got money to burn, fly me in the Evian water from the wherever in France. Well, guess what? A beautiful study looking at microplastics in the bottled water showed tremendous amounts of that. Oh my God, so I can't do that. Well, there are water purification technologies where you can actually say, I'm worried about my water. Okay, I put in a few $100s worth of hardware into my house. Now, I've sorted the water. Tick. You're thinking about the air quality because you're living in a town or somewhere like that. There are nowadays some amazing air filters there. A friend of mine, his wife is making the most beautiful wedding dresses. So she's got this big working area, and she's bringing in all the fabrics from China, typically, and they're works of art. But when you go in there and the sun sort of shines in, you see all kind of things floating around, and she's breathing all that shit in. Am I surprised that she is actually quite sick? That there are autoimmune diseases building, that there are things like that happening? Not at all, because we have got all these toxins in there. So again, in a workplace like that, and especially when you bring in new things in and fluff them out, well, maybe a better an N95 mask might not be such a bad idea when you are clearly exposing yourself to things like that just as much as a builder would wear a proper mask when they're going into a mold toxin infested kind of house or when they work with asbestos. Yet we have got very similar compounds or components of things floating around, and we just take them for granted. So again, if we look at everything that is coming into our body, we can take slowly but surely action to actually deal with that. We need to strengthen the way our body can heal. Now, when does it heal? I saw many people say, oh, I got brain fog and I'm tired and chronic fatigue and oh, I can't find the words, etc. Well, shall we have a look at your sleep? Because we know that the sleep architecture is so important. I've just created a sleep course and really went into depth into that. But when we look at the sleep architecture, you have got sort of deep stages of sleep, and then you've got the REM stages of sleep. All these kind of different cycles that we cycle through at night have an important role to play. We have got a glymphatic system, a powerful system in our brain. It's like a sponge sort of cleaning up, like a cleaning crew going through and hoovering up all the toxins and rubbish from the brain cells and then get rid of them. Now, that only happens in the deep sleep. And the deep sleep typically happens in the first part of your sleep. So if you go to bed at 10 and sleep till 6 or 7, well, that's a good, decent 8 to 9 hours. That's what we want to see. And the start of the sleep, that is typically when the deep sleep happens. That's where the cleaning up crews come through. And then the emotional healing and all the other things, that happens more with the REM sleep. That is more in the early morning hours. What do? No, we doom scroll until 2 o'clock in the morning, go to bed. You don't get actually your the deep sleep phases. Therefore, you don't get the cleaning up. And you're actually stopping your body to heal. Just those kind of things. So if you say, well, what are the low-hanging fruit? I've given you about a dozen of them right now. And it is so easy. And I want to introduce you to one concept, and the concept of the 5-minute gardener. Imagine you have a garden. And from now on, you make a conscious decision that you go into your garden 5 minutes a day. Never more, never less. Now, after a week, you will see some difference. You see you've pruned a bit here, you've planted a new plant there, pulled some weeds there. Okay. After a month, your family will say, garden looks nice. After 3 months, you probably get bus tours coming along and say, wow, what a garden. But it's 5 minutes every day. Yep. So that's not even 1%, that's 0.3% of your time. But you have decided to invest that time, and it's the compound interest that you're gaining. So you, once not having a coffee from Starbucks, will probably not make so much difference. If you now say, well, actually, I make my own coffee at home. I know exactly what is in there. There's no sugar and syrup in there. And I take it with me in a glass flask. So you now have you've saved probably, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that per year, number one. Number two is you've reduced the microplastics, you've reduced the sugar exposure, and you've taken control, you've taken action. 4 positive things with one decision. Mm-hmm. Now imagine you do that for this week, 2 days, that is your good thing you've done. Then in 2 days' time, you do another decision where you say, actually, from now on, I actually want to have leafy greens with every meal. Or then 2 days later, you say, okay, I want to have some protein with every meal. And so you're learning, you're growing, you're adding on, and you are taking away. You're going through your pantry and actually say, okay, Tim Tams, chips, crisps. Let's look at the back of it, and you've got 18 ingredients. Go to your freezer, and you've got oven chips, and you look at the ingredients, 12 ingredients. Hang on, these are chips. This should be potato and maybe some salt and maybe some oil. It should be 3 things, not 18. Okay. So you get the idea. It's easy. And the moment you get to it, you suddenly think, hey, today I actually did some meditation. I felt really good. And I had this beautiful insight. And wow, finally, my gods are talking to me again. And I say gods, I don't believe in any deity. I'm a spiritual person, so light beings, angels, whatever you want to say. That is whoever you communicate with. I bet you there has been quite a miscommunication in recent weeks and months, and suddenly things are changing. And that is amazing. That's the proof of the pudding.
No, yeah, I agree. It's small, subtle, incremental changes are best. I mean, we see it every time at the beginning of the year. Everyone's like, I'm going to go do all these different things. I'm throwing out everything in my pantry. I'm starting fresh.
Right.
It's small changes last the longest. The more you do it, the more you repeat it, it becomes a habit, and then it's no longer a change. It's just,
Mm.
this is the new way of doing stuff. And I tell people all the time, it's like, just with food, at least do your best to eat as fresh as you can.
Mm.
Organic can be super expensive and it's hard for some people's budgets. It's like, okay, well, just get it fresh. Don't get the frozen chicken fingers out
Mm.
of the aisle. Go get some chicken
No.
breasts, cut it up and make
Exactly.
your own chicken fingers. Like you said,
Exactly.
cook your
Exactly.
own food. I know
Yeah.
so many people now coming up that they don't know how to cook a simple meal for themselves.
Mm.
And I have my son who, at the time he was 5, making a grilled cheese. I'm like, you will learn how to cook
Ha 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 ha
because
ha.
that'll save you money. Cooking your own
Exactly.
food and meal
Yeah.
prepping definitely saves more money than going out every day and getting McDonald's or Burger
Oh,
King.
please, please. The problem is, let's talk about this food that we call food. It's not food, honestly. Um, First of all, the quality. Maybe now 20 years back, there's a bit of an older study, and the companies affected by this study have tidied up a little bit their things, at least here in New Zealand. Two major burger companies. Someone did some ghost shopping, just went in there, ordered a burger, took it to the lab, took the meat patty, cut it up into very fine slices, and looked under the microscope what is there. Now, the meat content, meat as in defined in muscle, muscle mass, was 13 and 14%, respectively, of the two major chains there. Now, the rest is grizzle shit the abattoir has on the ground. So now these were the cheap burgers. Now we have got here Angus beef burgers. They probably have a bit more in there. And in all fairness, a good burger, you probably need about 20%, 15 to 20% fat content from a food thing. If you do 10% fat content, you get bricks of burgers. Anyone who has ever made a sausage knows that. So in all fairness, there must be some moisture in there. So I give you that. If you're a foodie, a food scientist, that's cool. I give you that. But certainly not 60% fillers or sawdust or crap. If you were to look then at a thing called the bliss point. Now, bliss in spirituality is, of course, a beautiful thing. Now, the food industry has recognized that as well. The bliss point is the perfect combination of sugar, salt, crunch. There's fat. Sugar, fat, salt, and crunch. If you get it just right, it's impossible to stop eating. So Doritos, Tim Tams, whatsoever, forget it that you only have one chip. No way in hell. So people have perfected that, and they did that on purpose.
Right.
So sugar is highly addictive. It's as addictive as cocaine, if you look at animal studies. So let's not be silly. You are led down the garden path. That's why it's so crazy. You can't get enough of this McDonald's, Burger King, whatever fast food. And then half an hour later, you say, I'm hungry. I want to eat something. You had a blood sugar spike and you're crashing then thereafter. Now, you could also translate it emotionally into having a high and then low with anxiety and depression. So it's those kind of things. So let's be clear about that. You can do so much better. As far as organic is concerned, unfortunately, there are equally heaps of toxins are infiltrating our food chain. And especially, I mean, if you think about chicken, they're picking up everything on the ground. If you think, I want to eat healthy, I want to have fish. Fish is good, so give me that swordfish. I splurge on myself. I go get some, I don't know, shark steaks or whatever you think is really great. Well, the reality is those fish with a skin are actually on the top of the food chain. So they have eaten everything down the food chain. So through the food chain, all the microplastics, the heavy metals, etc., have come up. So if you want to eat healthy as a pescatarian, don't eat skin fish. Scaly fish is okay. Don't eat the bottom feeders. Because guess what they do? They feed on the bottom where all the microplastics are coming down, etc. So mussels, shrimps, etc. are probably not so great for you. So again, it's if you think about what you're eating, again, you've got lots of choices. You could say, oh, they're all against me. Well, yes, the world is against you because they want to make money out of you and they don't care about your health. But at the same token, us talking here, this must be now coming up to 24 of simple things you can do. And that's where the power is.
Mm.
That's where we can actually think, how can we become the best version of ourselves? And maybe this spiritually, this should be the very first thing that you can do in the morning. Connect with your power sources out there and ask a specific question. What can I do today? Please guide me. What can I do today to become the best version of myself, physically, emotionally, spiritually? And see what messages come through.
Mm.
And the sheer fact that you took a few moments and do some diaphragmatic breathing as you do so, maybe do so in the sunshine and let a bit of sunshine come onto you. That's incredibly powerful. So again, you've taken action, you're opening yourself up to the forces of the universe. You are using physiology out there. You're maybe learning new tricks, new techniques. We often think about very mystical things like tapping. Um, Tapping has become an interesting topic for me because there are people out there who say, "Oh no, you have to chant a certain thing, you have to do certain words with it, etc." Well, as a doctor, I have to say, well, actually, does it work? And it very well works. And if I say, well, how does it work? Well, if you think about it, it's a mammalian dive reflex. Imagine you're a seal and you're lying on your ice shelf there and say, I'm getting a bit peckish. I actually want to have some fish. So you jump into the water. Now these fish are fast. So if you as a seal now get fight and flight, adrenaline going, yeah. Well, 10 seconds later, you run out of air. Seals have got a trick that nature has built into them. The moment they jump into that ice cold water, the water splashes their face first, and it resets their physiology towards a parasympathetic drive. So their heart rate comes down and they can hunt. Now, that is working with cold water and things that affect their face. Now, guess what? We have got exactly the same things. We have got a mammalian dive reflex. So we can actually use that. We can actually tap into that, literally tap into that. And that's where tapping comes in. You don't need magic kind of words. You need to know, okay, that's how it works. And by us tapping, so for those of you who are listening to this podcast, at the moment, I'm just raising my hand and touch the top of my head, so the crown chakra, if you wanted to say, tap that 8, 10 times. Then I'm reaching down both hands above my eyes, just over the pupil, and tap then. Tap on the outside of my eyes, on the bony rim. Tap underneath my eyes. Tap underneath the nose. Tap on my chin. Tap underneath my collarbones. And then do something like a karate chop, so the karate hands against each other. And that's the whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done here, and I would repeat that maybe for 2 minutes. Now with that, I'm pretty much breaking through most anxiety moments that I've got because I'm completely resetting physiology by simply pressing the right buttons on my body. It's like a reflex. If a doctor hits you on the knee and your leg jumps, you can't say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. You will do that. Or you can't say, well, I don't know, the spirits didn't align today. Well, no, if I hit you on the right spot, your knee will jump. Okay? It's the same with that. So don't make it more complicated. Just actually say, I really feel ratty. I can't think straight. My mind is racing. Take some deep breaths, do some triangular breathing. But whilst you're doing that, do actually also some tapping. Bob's your uncle. 2 minutes later, you have reset your physiology. So I think it's those kind of things. These are all tools in your toolkit. And if you actually bring that to the party, bring that to the table, to your everyday life, and accept it that you are in control, that you have got choices, that you can either say, actually, today I want to be sad. Today maybe I want to be crying. Today I want to let it all out. Maybe I put the right music on and really actually just finally snot and tears, let it all come out. That might be good. Or you might say, actually, I really don't want those dark thoughts, those sad thoughts today. And I want to tell myself I love myself. You might choose havening. Havening is a beautiful technique where we use the outside of our upper arms, either stroke them. You might do that with children anyhow, or someone you want to console. I love to give myself a huge bear hug. Just squeeze as tight as I can. One right hand on the left shoulder, left hand on the right shoulder. Squeeze as tight as you can. I'd close my eyes and say, hey, Stephan, I love you. You're an amazing man. You're going through so much shit. You're going through so much trouble. I mean, you're still standing. You're amazing. I love you. Your resilience, your tenacity. Wow. I love you so much. Just keep going. You can do that. 15 seconds. In those 15 seconds, I've massively released dopamine in my system. So I've given myself, I give myself a physical hug because I've squeezed my upper extremities. I've also now, when I release them, there's a bit of the muscle tension gone. And I've got this dopamine rush coming over me. Simple techniques. And if you now start putting them all together, it's impossible for you not to get better. And now add in the spirituality. Now add in, put it all together, because as you say, only looking after your body and your mind and not the spirituality, well, that won't work. Only doing spirituality, trying to have that as the answer for everything else, well, that won't work. Just as much as, coming back to your first question, the functional medicine versus the Western style allopathic medicine. If you have only one, that's silly. Have both. If you have got chronic fatigue, if you have got, let's make it easier, diabetes. You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That's cool. Your doctor will try to prescribe you medications, etc. And they're all quite fine, but these medications are there to manage a disease. How about reversing the disease? And for that, some medications might work. Metformin, for example, is something that helps you quite nicely reversing things. But far more important, let's talk about our food. Let's not manage our carbohydrates. You don't really need so many carbohydrates in your food. So actually learn about it. There are essential amino acids. Protein is good for you. There are essential fatty acids. Cool. There are no essential carbohydrates. So that gives you a bit of something to say. So if you say the diabetes, type 2 diabetes, yes, you can manage it or you can reverse it. What's better for you in the long run? Now, you can say the same with mental health. You've been diagnosed with depression. Well, okay, we can manage that with an SSRI, with Prozac, etc. Or we can look for the root causes and actually reverse them. So if you are low in your iron, if your vitamin B12 is in the cellar, if you have basically a vegetarian kind of intake with very little protein in there, well, good luck on you for actually developing some serotonin in you. Yet if we were to correct all that, well, that's reversing depression. That's reversing a mental health disorder. So there's so many things there. And that's where functional medicine needs to work alongside the Western style medicine. If you have a doctor, GP telling you, well, your blood results are normal and your brain fog is all in your head, you're just a bit of menopausal, you're with the wrong doctor. Yeah. If they say, well, that's as much as we can do as a family physician, but have you actually looked at your diet? Have you looked at your things? And maybe I'm the wrong person to guide you there, maybe a nutritionist or functional medicine practitioner. So it could be a naturopath, etc. There's a big overlay of certain groups where many of us are doing similar things, where a doctor stands out, a doctor can diagnose and treat, whilst a naturopath or a more a functional medicine practitioner from another background cannot make that clinical diagnosis. So I think that's where a doctor comes in quite handy, because we look at both. We look disease, we rule out disease and help improve disease and improve well-being. So live younger for longer. That's my motto, and that is, I think, so amazing, because we've got all those tools. But without the spirituality, as I said, you need to find a reason Why? Why do you want to do all that?
Yeah.
And that is a journey that is often influenced by our ancestors, influenced by trauma in our childhood, even our immediate ancestor, your mum, and dad. Actually, we've got data for that. We know that what your mum has gone through before your birth is a huge ingredient in your mental well-being, in your epigenetics. We had studies, older studies from the Second World War of concentration camp victims. Then we had in the 80s concentration camp survivors from Yugoslavia, and more recently civil war survivors from Syria. And if you look at the children of them that were born after their mums and dads had escaped from whatever they have gone through, and look at epigenetic changes, epigenetic markers within their systems, you see changes that were handed down, trauma changes that were handed down from the hard life of their parents.
Yeah, I think
So
there was even a study recently that showed men who have trauma, unresolved trauma, the trauma can carry down within the semen as well.
exactly. I
Bringing
believe
that
so
in.
too.
Yeah.
Correct. It's good that you say that. We often focus on mums, and forget the dads. The dads have got so much um, to answer for. Is the wrong word. That's a negative terminology. I think we need to look after our dads, after our men out there. Um, we we are our worst enemies for many reasons, and we are, especially in nowadays world, we are flooded with so many different pressures. We have to be absolutely everything. We have to be the provider, but don't you dare being too masculine. Now you're toxic masculinity. Don't you dare being a leader because you are now condescending. You have to be the best friend to your children. And oh my God, you can't punish them in any way. You don't even look at them straight. And it's so hard. There's a beautiful saying, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And I think that is what we're seeing right now. I think there is leadership needs to grow. And for that, we need a healthy masculinity. That is what women want. They want a healthy masculine man. They don't want I don't want to speak negative now or put any kind of picture out there. But if you speak to a woman honestly and cut out all the bullshit, there are certain things that they look out for. It's not for nothing that there are studies when a woman looks at different pictures of the same man, the man dressed in a suit or dressed in a power outfit that portrays money versus the same man in, let's say, a checkout position, etc. 90% of the women will find the man with the power outfit far more attractive than the same man in the other outfit. If you do it reverse genders, ask men, hey, there's the same woman in a power outfit versus um, a checkout girl, they would find them typically equally attractive. We men don't think like that. Women do want a leader who's out there who portrays that. Yet at the same token, we've got all the kind of woke movement, the kind of no, 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 you need to be everyone's friend, and yeah, it doesn't work. There's such conflicting things out there. We men are a dying species. I think that is to be said. We have got the testosterone levels have been decreasing slowly but surely over the recent years. Our sperm counts are going down. I think as a human species, we are dying unless we put some serious breaks into that, some stops in there into that. We have the power, we have the ability to change, but this is all taking leadership, and not by a government, not by a group, but by yourself.
Mhm.
So as a man, if you are chronically tired, if you haven't had, if you have erectile dysfunction in your 40s, if you have got those kind of things, well, time for you to realize that erectile dysfunction is the canary in the coal mine. So if you can't get it up, or if there are problems there, Why is that? Let's figure that out, because there are many reasons that contribute to that. But if you don't figure that out, the arteries that are going to your penis are 1 to 2 millimeters thick. The arteries going to your heart, coronary arteries, are 3 to 4 millimeters, and the ones going to your neck or to your brain are 5 to 6 millimeters. So the penis is the canary in the gold mine. So if there are problems with your blood vessels, with your body not getting enough oxygen and nutrients to the cells, well, the penis is the very first one to say, actually, you know what, get lost. You haven't fed me some proper things for a while. Now you want to have fun? No. So there's that. Erectile dysfunction is not something embarrassing. That is a warning sign that in 5 years you're going to brewing your heart attack.
Well, now on the
So
radio, though, I hear commercials all the time. Oh, you got ED, you have low T.
mm,
So if you have
mm.
low testosterone, then just come get the injection.
Or
So,
if you're obese, get Wegovy.
yeah.
Or if you are depressed, have some Prozac.
Yep.
Okay, you want 2 pills to undo the damage that you've done over 40 years. Yeah, good luck with that. So we are putting band-aids on. Now, is there a No, first of all, erectile dysfunction and low T, yes, there is an overlap, but not necessarily. There are so many other reasons. I had shitloads of trauma, and I've got, certainly in the past, I had PTS, and I've thrown out the D. It's not a disorder. With the amount of trauma I've gone through, for Christ's sake, if I can't have a heightened awareness, I can't have flashbacks and can't those things, then I don't want to know what. But I've been able, with hypnotherapy and with actually doing some other therapy, I reduced the symptoms of the trauma, the coupling with my emotions and with my physical body by 90%. So why do I say that? There is still a heightened level of situational awareness, which I love. So it's hard for you to catch me out. By the same token, I'm also probably hypersensitive if I was now to meet a new girl. I've been married for 30 years. That ended in a divorce. I've been going through some very nasty times now, financially broke, all those kind of things that so many people face. I'm not alone, Christ. The last 5 years were brutal for virtually everyone. But if I now say, well, actually, I will have difficulties with a new partner, do I trust this partner? My last partner has ended up in trouble. I'm now no longer 20, 59. You've got all those thoughts, those patterns, those ruminations, all those kind of things happening. And no surprise. Is that low T? Well, actually, I had low T 5, 10 years ago. I have corrected that with the right input. I know that high intensity interval training and strength training is as effective as Viagra. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I know I've checked my testosterone. Thank you very much. That's actually quite right. Have I had maybe not the greatest sexual experience in recent times? Yes, because I'm afraid. There's the emotions there. There's so much more there. It's low T. It's only a part of the story. But ultimately, you going out there and changing your body and doing a holistic approach to that is as effective as Viagra. Not to say that you might not have a little blue pill, and actually assist yourself there. Confirm to yourself, actually, have a look, it works. And have a look at your partner. She is having a ball of a time. Now that's that's food for the soul. And that is beautiful. So, but don't just rely on one thing, and don't just rely on testosterone injections. Please, why are you low? And do something about the reasons, the root causes why your testosterone is low. That's what I do with my men. And there are natural things. There are a lot of lifestyle changes that will bring your testosterone up. We know, for example, classic example, if I don't let you sleep for a week, if I reduce your sleep time to 5 hours for a week, your testosterone will drop 10, 20%. Simple as that. On the flip side, now let's actually do some strength exercises, get you into the gym, add the right nutrition, address your sleep. Well, guess what will happen? It's the opposite. So here we are. It's again, it's not rocket science, but it's the consistency that you need to show up for yourself. And by doing so, now that is then when you can say, okay, wow, you will get better. There's no doubt in my mind. Whatever you're facing right now, doing the lifestyle changes, doing the right testing. So many people don't even test for testosterone. So you're right. But, don't forget the vitamin B12, the iron levels, all that. Let's actually check what is under the hood. And these are simple tests. Then do some functional testing. Check your gut health. We check maybe your sex hormones. Certainly as a woman, there is a Dutch test, a urine test for hormones is so powerful. The same for a man, to actually see your stress response, see your testosterone, see what's happening there. These are powerful things. Then we test for those things that are potentially holding you back. If you're living in a mold-infested house, it's very likely that you've got mycotoxins that are slowly killing you or impairing your health. Let's actually check for that. Heavy metals, microplastics, all those kind of things. Let's figure out what is holding you back. Let's check on parasites, etc. So there's so many things we can do, and you should do, because how can you can go to a retreat, do ayahuasca or any of the other beautiful things for your spirituality. But this will, again, only become a band-aid, because you can't heal in an environment that made you sick.
Yep.
So therefore, do it all right, and then add in the various spiritual options or treatment modalities, however I want to call them. They are beautiful. They might be what you need once you have solved, or once you have calmed down all the inflammation and calmed down all the crap that is happening. That is what you might need to deal with the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
No amount of healthy protein and omega-3 fatty acids will deal with the emotional trauma that you have gone through as a child. So if I think, what is the chance of a woman getting raped or sexually abused in the United States? 1 in 3 in their lifetime, something like that. 1 in 7 for men. Well, if you never deal with that, oh my God. So it is all that needs healing, and every man and every woman is different. So therefore, where we start, if you say, well, where should I start? Depends. I don't know what is the highest priority for you. For you, you might already have a healthy diet, and you might already do some good things, but it's maybe the trauma aspect that needs focusing. And with the trauma aspect, maybe attention to sleep, they often go hand in hand. So that might be the highest priority. For other people, definitely the food and healing the gut, healing their chronic, widespread pain that came out of the blue. Then in reality, there are so many things that are working together to set you up to fail.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I see it all the time where people go into ceremony, they come out and it's like a ceremony high, right? You got all this enlightenment. You
Exactly.
saw all these things that needed to be addressed. You saw all the solutions to your problem. But then you go back home, and then you're back in the same environment that messed you up. You're around the
Exactly.
same people. You're still in the job that you hate. You're still working for the toxic boss, or you have a toxic husband or a toxic
Yeah.
wife at home, or you're not
Yeah.
making any changes. And then within a month, everything that you acquired or learned, or the insights you had in ceremony, are just gone. You're
Exactly.
going back to your original diet. You're going back to all the things that you just learned you needed to let go. And
And it's okay. It's okay. That's where the radical self-compassion comes in.
yeah,
Because you have figured something out that worked, but there's so many other things that are working against you. Because it's a scale, like an old-fashioned scale. You have got now a little bit of healthy nutrition, a little bit of hydration, maybe a little bit better sleep, and this beautiful spiritual kind of thing. But you still get all the other weight on the scale on the opposite side of negative things.
oh yeah,
So
and I'm
you
guilty of
have,
it too. I've been through
isn't it?
many, and then came back and was like, wait, nothing's changed now. What did I do?
But
But
that's powerful.
yeah,
You've figured out what has not worked, and you have found a little bit of traction, and
mhm,
that's the great thing. You've taken action. The most difficult time is when the biggest friction, the biggest lack of traction is when you're stagnant. You haven't done anything. The moment you start doing little things, you start moving, and it will get easier and easier. For anyone who has had a break or has maybe never been in a gym or never done any sport, the very first time you put your trainers on, oh my God, you get muscle pain just from putting the trainers on. You go into the gym and you think, oh my God, even the slightest dumbbell feels like a weight that can't be overcome. 6 months later, you're throwing those things around as if they're feathers. And that is powerful. That is consistency. That's why I actually do like a gym, because you can use functional medicine principles in a very controlled environment. Whilst bodyweight exercises are a little bit more difficult. If you don't know what you do, it's much easier to hurt yourself. So therefore, for me, physical activity is a key ingredient to well-being and to healing disease, healing unwellness. So, and that often, again, people pay lip service. We nowadays understand the very powerful role of musculature in longevity. So if you want to live longer, you better have a good body, and that not a beach body, but actually a body that is very functional, that can propel you through 3 dimensions and reduce the risk of falls, reduce the risk of fractures, reduce the risk of damage to you. It is the muscles are where the glucose goes. So another simple trick. You want low-hanging fruit? I give you low-hanging fruit. Every time you now eat something, I want you to go up a flight of stairs, maybe push yourself 10 times off the wall, something like that. You do basically a mini exercise snack. What you're doing is you're actually opening the glucose receptors on your muscles, because you have just used up some of the energy in the muscles. So your body's saying, hey, where's the glucose? Have a look, we're dropping down. Even if we're 99% or 98% of glycogen, I want more. So the glucose receptors are coming out onto the cells. Now you eat something. Just 2 minutes of exercise before your lunch. 2 minutes of exercise before you have a snack of sorts. Now, some good part of that glucose will go straight into the muscle, not into your fat, not into your liver, etc. So these are little tricks that we can do. And if you look at longevity, if you look at the blue zones in the world where people live up to 100, well, guess what they do? They take time when they eat. They have joy. They try to be there with family, etc. And then afterwards, they go for a walk. They go, along the Ramblas in Barcelona, or they go for a hike in the German mountains. Germans are not necessarily in the blue zone, I give you that. Too much cheesecake, I guess, and sausages. But there is, if you look at the habits, physical exercise, activity is actually there. So it's beautiful. Again, things you can do.
So I guess what's your opinion on the current fad with peptides? You kind of mentioned it with GLP-1s and Ozempic and stuff like that. Obviously, there's the weight loss category, but then there's like BPC 157 that are supposed to help increase muscle and make you slimmer, more of a growth hormone. And I've heard with GLP-1, so it was Ozempic for people who don't know the regular term for it, but it makes it so like your digestion actually slows down so you're not hungry. But now they're finding like rotten food that hasn't even been digested within the stomach and causing more problems. And everyone's trying to get to that quick fix, miracle shot.
Absolutely. I think that is a huge problem in the United States. And so I want to distinguish here GLP-1 agonists and their very positive impact on some very sick people who otherwise are heading for death or disability. That is one group, versus other peptides that are being injected for other reasons. Let's start off with the GLP-1 agonists. We're talking semaglutide, liraglutide, and they come as trademarks like Wegovy or like Ozempic, etc. They are basically paralyzing the stomach and paralyzing your gut, making you therefore quicker full. And, they have got at least a fourth of people will have some nausea, etc. You're not really into eating so much. So therefore, you will lose weight. And if you just do the injections and nothing else, you will lose spectacular weight. The problem is that you're losing about 50% muscle mass and 50% fat mass when you just do the injections. So now people do these injections, they cost money and they run out of money. So, or they're the side effects that they don't like. So they've dropped a lot of weight, let's say 10 kilogram. Wow. For some people, that is a miracle. And they really like it. But now they stop the injections and their weight creeps back up. But it's not creeping up 50-50 muscle and fat. It creeps up 80% fat. So you are in the long run worse off because you've got less musculature and you have bounced back in your weight. Now, if you are to say, actually, we need to have a kickstart here, we need to actually improve a very, very, very sick person who's otherwise dying in a year. Now, I'll take that, the sheer fact that they have not been able to get literally out of their house because they are too big to get through the door. Hang on, that's a different person. That's a different thing. So a severely, severely morbidly obese patient, in these patients, this can be a lifesaver. So let's make sure that we understand the right thing. Now, if you're a little bit overweight or in the sort of the various obese ranges, and you say, I want to have Wegovy and I want to look good for the marriage of my daughter in 6 months' time, and don't do anything else. And then in 6 months' time, you stop it because it gets too expensive or you can't be bothered to be injected. Well, that's dodgy. If we say, actually, I need that kickstart and I want to have a small amount of GLP-1 agonist, whilst I'm implementing all the changes in my lifestyle, whilst I'm starting a exercise program with a trainer who guides me in the right way so that I don't injure myself, whilst I work with a nutritionist to actually learn how to cook, learn how to eat, what to eat, etc., increase my protein intake, make sure I get all the right nutraceuticals to fill up everything that my body needs. And in the interim, I'm preventing the muscle loss. I drop the fat, see some breakthrough happening and say, wow, this is cool. And now you have got your life restructured. Now that's a different kettle of fish. So I think that is a very appropriate way. And in fact, I in one of the clinics here in New Zealand, we are providing such a service. We have got a holistic program for weight loss that includes GLP-1, some injections there. So in the right setting, for the right reason, in the whole, as part of a much bigger approach to restructuring your life, absolutely yes. As a single quick fix, forget it. And I think that is my criticism with typically the American system. There is this focus on very quick fixes. And basically, teenagers are now being put on Wegovy for a lifetime. Where's the cooking course? Where's the cooking class, the mandatory? Where's the mandatory gym membership? In New Zealand, we've got a thing called green prescriptions. Your GP can actually prescribe you gym memberships, can prescribe you a reduction in prices going to the pool, etc. So these kind of things are there.
We have it too. A lot of our health insurances will give us discounts or free gym memberships in certain areas. Like I know my health insurance, there's certain gyms where I can go to and it's like $30 a month. Like there are that is an option. A lot of people just don't know about it because they don't read what else can I get from my health insurance. They look at deductibles and nothing else.
I think that is so beautiful there. So as I said, I don't want to bedevil them as a group of drugs. I think they have revolutionized the way healthcare is being looked at. The problem is that we are still not treating root causes, that we are actually trying to apply band-aids, very effective band-aids, may I say. If you just look at weight reduction as the outcome, then I think that is an effect. But let's be clear, they have some rare but potentially lethal side effects. If you think about pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas as a result of GLP-1 agonists, that is very much a reality. There are many other side effects that are coming out now that are not so well known, but increasingly doctors see changes or see things that were previously not known. Whenever a new therapy comes in, that's what is happening. You were asking about other peptides. And again, this seems to be a rather peculiar American thing, or maybe to a certain degree also European thing. In New Zealand, we have got far stricter standards. I cannot get BBC 157 here, neither as a capsule or as an injection here. It's simply forbidden. They say we don't have the evidence, we don't have you can't bring it in. Now, some of my friends have brought it in. Okay, let's be clear about that. Of course, there are always ways around legal systems, and it is. They hear our BPC 157 brilliant, and it works on the joints great. So they get capsules. Now the capsules don't really work on the joints so well. They work more on the gut and help the gut. So you could say, okay, they have done something good to the gut, but they've just spent $800 on getting a 3-month supply or 2-month supply of that, exorbitant prices. People don't know it. They don't have the right guidance. They hear some influencer out there taking it and say, wow, brilliant. United States, where it's far less restricted, you can inject anything, it seems, into anyone. There is far more a tendency of influencers or so-called health experts to say, yeah, brilliant, we inject that combination. And there are a few studies coming through. And certainly when just injected can work on growth hormone. And suddenly there is a weight loss, but actually a muscle gain. So, I mean, that's unheard of. All the other things are giving you a weight loss, including significant muscle loss. Yet, if you actually combine the right peptides, seemingly you can prevent the muscle loss and actually maybe even get a minor gain there. Oh, that would be cool. What are the side effects? What are the problems with that we haven't seen yet? Have you worked with the underlying root causes? Why? What's going on? What's driving it all? And that is, I think, again, where these injectables come in as band-aids or as quick fixes, rather than looking at tidying up all those factors that are holding you back, that are destroying you slowly. Because if you still live in your mold-infested basement, and I say mold because here in New Zealand right now we've got a beautiful weather front coming through. Out there it's raining cats and dogs. Now at any one time, about 20% of the buildings of the places here in New Zealand will have mold somewhere. 4% of buildings of houses will have a DNA 4 size patch of mold visible throughout the year. So because it is such a moist environment, those molds, they take hold quite quickly. Now, these molds have got about 300 toxins in them. So many young men come out of a good home. They then go to university, live often under quite primitive conditions in rented apartments, and feel like crap. Absolute bad. They get headaches, brain fog, can't focus, have been top students at school, and now can barely finish a semester at university because they are living in such squalor, literally. And it's like a badge of honor. Hey, look, our windows were frozen on the inside. And you think of for crying out loud. So here you are. It is no BPC 157, no peptide injection, no testosterone will improve your performance in the gym as a young man if you're living under such circumstances. So that's where I'm thinking.
No, and I agree, and especially with the influencing part, because there's so many YouTube videos of these 18, 19-year-olds taking TRT injections just to get bigger. And I'm looking at them going, you will not be able to produce your own testosterone for the rest of your life now because you're injecting the TRT, at least from my understanding. It
Mm,
basically chemically produces testosterone,
mm,
making your
mm,
body not need to do it anymore, then it just
mm.
stops doing it.
Yeah,
And so for the rest of your life, you're going to need this. Or they're injecting some sort of steroid
yeah,
compound with some peptide
exactly,
mix. And, they
exactly.
look jacked and ripped, but,
Mm, yeah,
they look also, instead of looking 18, they look like they're 45. They look like me
correct. Yeah.
age
I
wise.
think the other question you need to ask is who is producing these peptides under which standards,
That
and
was my next point. Yeah.
is are you really getting it?
Yeah.
Going back in time now, around about the 2000s, was a study that looked into traditional Chinese herbs. And they bought traditional Chinese herbs on the internet and put them into the lab. And they found all kinds of interesting things. Chinese herbs that were effective for pain relief had Voltaren in them or had steroids in them. Many had high levels of toxic heavy metals and or other toxins in there. Unbelievable. The same thing when you look at drugs, when you look spirituality and want to have MDMA, have ecstasy. Again, when the raves were on before it became all too lethal with the fentanyl craze. So again, early 2000s, people went out in England this time. They went out to different nightclubs, bought 50 ecstasy tablets, and looked at what was in the ecstasy. I think two of them had ecstasy in them. The rest had all kind of trash in them. One had ketamine in there, which is basically a powerful anesthetic, wrongly known as horse tranquilizer. But if these are nasty drugs. We had a case here, a death of a young man who at the age of 17, went to a nightclub. He took something that he thought was, whatever it was. In reality, it was a drug that was actually bringing his blood sugars down. And he was lying pretty much seizing there for the better part of the night and fried his brain. And basically died of complications thereof. It's quite some years ago, but these kind of cases are out there. So we know that with drugs, we know that with the Chinese herbs, we know that with kind of any unregulated industry. So will we see the same thing when it comes to peptides? I'm asking the question. I have not read
Yeah.
studies or I have not seen that, but
I
I'm
would
just
think so. There's so many
cautious there.
sites. There's so many sites where you can just go and buy whatever peptide you want now. Like you can
Yeah,
literally just, at least here in the States,
yeah,
I can buy any injectable peptide, any pill peptide,
yeah,
150 bucks. They'll send it to me monthly. I can get my own GLP-1
exactly.
without going to the
Yeah,
doctors. I mean, they just did a study on like protein powder that just came out recently and
yeah,
found heavy metals, toxic
absolutely,
chemicals just in the
absolutely. Yeah.
protein powders that are supposed to be healthy for you. And a lot of
Correct.
them didn't have a lot of protein that they said they did. Same with
Well, there
regular
you are. Yeah.
supplements, all that stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. I think
It's,
that's again where you talk to a functional medicine
yeah.
doctor because we typically I provide the nutraceuticals to my patients because I work through a company that is a distributor of medical grade kind of good quality stuff. And because people, my patients go through me, I give them just a 30% markup from the cost price.
Hmm.
So they get it far cheaper compared with most places. So that's a service that I provide, and some of my colleagues provide. So that's where indeed, yes, you can go out there to some places and just get the stuff and trust that you get it. Do you really get it? What do you get in there? Is it just some cheap rubbish talcum powder that they put in some capsules somewhere in a backyard in China? Or Indonesia, or I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not putting one country down. You have got China just seems to be a very proliferant distributor and provider for fake medicines. And so, but I'm sure there are many other countries out there who do exactly the same.
Oh yeah, it's the proprietary blend.
Of talcum powder and some throw a bit of rat poison in there so that they know, ooh, something is happening in the body. We are cynical. Jeremy, how dare you?
I mean, I've been down this path for God, what year is it? At least 12 years now. I started with chickens, raising my own rabbits, trying to do my
Ah,
own garden. I've raised my own cow. I have sheep right now. Like I'm in that mindset of it needs to be as healthy as I can make it. What can I do for myself? You know what I mean? Look, and I've gone from barely any acreage to now 8 acres. So it's all this stuff is possible. You
Exactly.
can do a lot just on a half an acre, like you were saying,
Yeah,
like grow a little bit of
yeah,
vegetables,
yeah.
maybe get yourself some rabbit or quail, get a
Absolutely.
chicken or two for some fresh eggs. Like you can do a lot. Obviously, you got to go with what your HOA will let you do if you have
Sure.
one of those.
That's right.
But what I've told some people is get yourself a nice bird cage, get yourself a couple quail. They're your pets, and they will lay an egg every day. Now you
I
have
didn't
fresh
think about
eggs,
that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's in a beautiful bird cage in your house. They're cute little animals to look at. And it's might not be as good as letting them pasture, but
Mm,
you do the best you can with what you
yeah,
have.
yeah. See, it is so much as possible. And we don't think it's possible until we actually see, maybe learn from history. So if we were to go back to Berlin in the Second World War, well, there were no big pastures there. People living in high rises, they were bombed the hell out of. They still had pots out there with beans in them. They still would put anything where they find a bit of dirt, they would put some plants in there. When I drive through some of the poorer parts of the towns that I live and work in here, I see lawns. I see just actually quite a lot of green stuff here in New Zealand. I don't see a single salad leaf or a single spinach leaf. Whilst, just get yourself a bucket, put some soil in there, and put some snow peas in there. These are or beans in there, dwarf beans. They don't need to go mad, but within a few weeks, you will have food that is coming directly onto your table, and you know exactly what is in there. There's no organic pesticides or something like that in there.
Or even
It's
lettuce.
those kind.
Lettuce takes about a
Well,
month to
exactly,
grow.
exactly,
You got
exactly.
a head of
Spring
lettuce in a month.
onions, yeah, spring onions. So all those kind of things. It is you don't need a lot of space. If you have got a balcony or some kind of space, you can explore that. If you think sprouting, if you say, really, I've only got a windowsill, well, get into sprouting. Sprouting means you've got seeds that you put there. Those sprouts that are coming out are incredibly dense in nutrients. Broccoli sprouts, for example, incredibly healthy. So again, these are all things that you very easily can do. Takes you, 5 minutes, literally a day to introduce something new. And if you say, well, I don't have 5 minutes, okay, do 15 minutes in 3 days' time, go to your hardware store or wherever you get seedlings and get yourself a box which is made for these kind of growing
Mm.
purposes. Bingo, there you are. So you have taken action. Again, don't be the victim. Yes, a lot of things are stacked against you, but don't get this analysis paralysis. Make up your mind. What do I want to do right now? And right now, as you're listening to that, you might be sitting there and say, "What a fantastic interview!" And you see that glass of water there. Reach over, drink that glass of water, hydrate. Okay. So now you not only fed your mind with an amazing interview, but also you actually hydrated your body. Make that a practice. Okay, so it's simple choices, but the moment you start doing those choices, you see, that was easy. What else can I do that is easy? And very quickly, things will get better.
Yep.
Yesterday, I worked 13 hours in the office, and I could have just gone to bed. Or I said, well, actually, no. So I went to the gym, which is literally here 800 meters away from me. And I did an hour and 15 of strength training, bike, etc. And whilst I was initially not in the mood, very quickly I actually saw how much my muscles benefited from it, how my mood benefited from it, how proud I was that I overcome my own Schweinehund, I call it in German. Schweinehund is the dude who holds me back, who says, nah, if I don't have your Tim Tam instead, okay, rather than go to the gym. So I have overcome the dude, and I felt great, and actually slept really well last night, despite the fact that I had a lot of stress going on at the moment. So it's those kind of decisions. That is where functional medicine shines. Find out what's under the hood, find out a true sense of what is happening with your body, with your mind, and then take action. And sometimes you just don't know that things are happening. After my divorce, I sold a house, I sold everything, and ended up in an apartment of a friend. And that apartment looked nice. It was all pretty. It was no trouble at all. And I started as a functional medicine doctor working, and a new lab in the United States said, hey, here, Stephan, here's $400. Go nuts, do some testing, see what happens. And I thought, yeah, cool. I'll do some environmental toxin testing. That's my interest, and see what happens. See actually what's in me. Well, me. I had high levels of mycotoxins. So I had mold in the house. So there was water damage that I did not know about in that apartment. I had certainly all kind of microplastics in there at very low levels because I tried to live a healthy life. I tried to eat healthy. I tried to minimize those things, but they were still noticeable in me. I had a few heavy metals in there, far less than I expected. Because I know as a child, as a teenager, I lived next to a major motorway. And that was in the 70s when there was still lead in the petrol in Germany. So that lead is somewhere sequestered in me, in my bones. And if I don't pay attention to my bone health, those bones will sort of start slowly breaking down, osteoporosis, and will actually release some of that lead and will actually make me sick. So here I've got, just with those testing, I actually realized, oh my God, that apartment is a poison chalice. You need to get out of there. So I moved out of that apartment rather smartly. Actually lived in my car for a bit. And to actually just make sure I have removed myself from the toxic environment. You could argue that maybe my marriage towards the end was not a great environment to be in. I don't want to call it toxic, but maybe not so far off either. So there were a lot of things that were working against me, but I took action. And right now, at 59, I'm the strongest that I've ever been religiously, physically, certainly in the last 30 years, physically, mentally, spiritually. Now, that is because I took action. And that's where I want everyone out there to take the opportunity and learn from you and from me. Because if we two numbnuts were able to get our shit together and go out there and actually live our life as best as we can, to the fullest that we can, we are internally curious to learn more. You were guided in your shamanic practice to start that podcast. You were guided to come to this place, to open up, to actually have these meaningful conversations with others that will hopefully become the snowball that causes an avalanche in their lives. So the more we can have these meaningful discussions, maybe also around our dinner tables. Are you really sitting still around the dinner table as a family? If not, maybe that would be something that might be cool. And you might actually say, hey, we've listened to that podcast and this dude was saying that. What do you think? Now, suddenly, this might be a very different life that is waiting for you. A wife. Sorry, the wife was a Freudian slip here. A life that is indeed nourishing you by just from so many angles that you will more and more find yourself walking around with a grin on your face rather than a frown. I think that is the beautiful thing. That is why I still have got hope, despite the fact that as a society and as a species, we are under severe threat. But right now, I've got a smile on my face talking to you. I've got a smile on my face because actually, wow, we've touched upon so many things that I am doing right. So earlier on, I had my own imposter syndrome, as in this morning, a lot of stress again in my work, etc. So I thought, oh God, are you really an inspiration? And now I'm thinking, actually, I'm doing so many things right. Why don't I give myself credit? Why don't I actually say, Stephan, well done? Look how far you have come despite the odds. And therefore, I want to highlight that, not putting myself out there as a hero. No, I want to say by taking small but continuous action steps, you will be able to get through whatever is happening right now in your life. You will be able to become a new version of yourself, a better version out there.
I like that. And I think it's definitely a good place to start wrapping up. I think that those are good lessons, take action, be easier on yourself, recognize the good things that you have done, recognize what you have tried to do. I think it's important that we all do that and we're not so hard on ourselves and we actually do take that minute to look in and go, no, I did do something. I did try this. Yeah, maybe it didn't work out, but I tried it. So now I'm going to go try this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is working. Great. Let me try this now. Let me try this. Let me try that.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, take action. Don't just talk about it. Don't just read about it. Just do it. Just try it. In small, little, bite-sized, manageable things. Like that's the best thing.
Jeremy, one thing that I want to say is try to create a power team around yourself where you are the dumbest member of the team. Okay. So you might not like that because you're a strong man. I know it all. Rubbish. You have no clue about nutrition. You have no clue about spirituality. You have no clue about this and this and that and that. So put those people around you who are further down that path in that, who can guide you, can coach you, who can hold you accountable. Because it's so easy to say, oh, I will take action now. And then life intervenes and a month has passed by and you have done nothing.
Yeah.
If you hold yourself accountable with some people, then this might change dramatically. And you might have a medical problem where maybe a functional medicine doctor might be the initial key person, or it might be clearly a nutritional problem where maybe a nutritionist is there, or it might be the physical exercise where maybe a personal trainer might be the first port of call. It might be a shamanic healer, a shamanic practitioner, where if your spirituality needs the first hug and sign of protecting. The team will change in composition because with the way you're growing, you will outgrow some team members. Suddenly you know more than they do.
Yep.
And that's cool. Put a new team together. So, but yeah, don't give up. Don't be a victim. Take action, but not just like a crazy person taking action. There's always this beautiful picture of a person from another planet who's being put onto this earth the first time. And they find themselves at a car and they know that a car is really good for transportation. So they go behind the car and start pushing that car. Now they're working really, really, really hard to use that car for transportation. But maybe there are better ways how to do it. They have just not heard the right way how to use that car. Maybe it's the same with medications. That's the same with injections. That's the same with nutraceuticals. That's the same with spiritual practices. Learn how to do it right.
And I guess with that, if somebody wants to reach out to you and work with you, obviously, I mean, your website's on your description. I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Is there any other place that you want them to reach out to you?
Neffinspiration.com or neffunctionalmedicine.com. These are the two websites that I've got. One is the more medical side. The other is my book or books are courses, things like that.
Okay.
Life is too short, guys. Take action, make a decision, and give it a shot because that's so beautiful. And find the right guidance. That's all I want to say. Thank you so much, Jeremy. You're an amazing man. Again, thank you very much for putting this beautiful show together, for putting all this kind of wonderful group of people coming together and shining their light on spirituality. But also today we've talked about the foundations that really make spirituality come into its own by getting it all right. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if something our guests shared resonated with you, connect out to them. That's what these stories are here for. And if you're looking for deeper healing or support, you can always find me at pnwshamanichealing.com. See you in the next episode.